71,000 soldiers, you cannot beat this. So the 1070 Ti has done a great favor to my system. It is a huge upgrade anyway. Hey, how's it going? My name is jackiefishhh and welcome back to some more Total War Warhammer 2. Today's video is sponsored by Asus ROG and Overclockers UK, who are kind enough to send me a new ROG STRIX GTX 1070 Ti graphics card for me to put to the test in the new Rise of the Tomb Kings DLC and also in the laboratory. So what I thought I would do in today's video is go ahead and benchmark this graphics card through the predetermined benchmarks in Total War Warhammer to my old 970 and compare the FPS, and then jump ourselves into the new laboratory mode and just see the power of the 1070 compared to the 970. I think already we've got around about 22,000 to 25,000 soldiers with the old 970 before the system started to shudder, and I'm hoping that the 1070 Ti will be able to push that up to like 40,000 and maybe be able to run that somewhat smoothly. And I think that would be definitely a great achievement. So if you want to go ahead and check out the 1070 for yourself, the STRIX GTX 1070 Ti, I'll make sure to link it down below in the description. As well as that, if you want to know the rest of my system kind of loadout, I'll leave that in the description down below as well. But just quickly, I am running an i7-8700 series CPU as well as 16 gig of DDR4 RAM. I also bought all of this from Overclockers separately. It's just a company that I use personally when building my computer, and I definitely recommend you checking them out. So let's go ahead and check out the settings that we are using in today's video. Everything is going to be stuck right up to Ultra. I did this for both the 970 and also obviously the 1070. I think if anything, I put the 970 a little bit lower down on a few of these options just because this is what I'm now recording on for my current Let's Play, so I just leave the graphics alone since I have put in this new 1070. So everything's going to be on Ultra. Let's jump into the battle first, the battle benchmark, and then we'll jump into the campaign benchmark and we'll compare them to what I got on the 970. Okay guys, so we are going to start off with the 1070 Ti in the battle benchmark, which is already predetermined, kind of a predetermined scenario for Total War Warhammer. You can see already we are hovering around about 60 FPS, dropping a few frames here and there, but it's a very solid. Unfortunately, I did end up losing my 970 benchmark test, which I had before I installed the 1070. However, I did write down the numbers, and the average number on Ultra settings for the 970 was 36 frames. That was the average one throughout this benchmark. And you can already see that this 1070 is a huge improvement on that, almost double on that kind of benchmark previously on the 970. At the moment, as the units are clashing, we have 66 FPS. The average FPS is just below 59 on this 1070. So overall, a great improvement in battles. Now what we'll do is we'll jump into the campaign and we'll see how that affects the game. So I was actually really surprised with how well the 1070 helped boost my performance in the campaign on Ultra settings. The 970, I believe, again, I did write this down, unfortunately, losing the 970 benchmark, was running around about 30, I think it was like 39 to 45 frames per second on average. And immediately you can see that the 1070 Ti is absolutely destroying that card on Ultra. This is as well, you do bear in mind as well, both these tests do have the strain of my recording system as well, so do bear that in mind. But already you can see that the 1070 is absolutely annihilating that, getting some really high FPS counters. And I was really impressed as well when benchmarking the 1070 Ti when we stare at the Vortex in a second, because normally the Vortex normally kills your frame rate pretty heavily. However, the 1070 Ti managed to handle it extremely well, and I was very impressed, especially on Ultra settings as well. I mean, that's a sight to behold right there. Warhammer is a beautiful game, just to mention that. And I think the average FPS for the campaign is going to come out as something around about 72. So again, that's almost double. It's almost double the FPS difference I got from both of these cards. We'll see it in a second as we do finish up the benchmark for the campaign. But the battle FPS was almost double, and I'm pretty sure the average for the campaign itself is going to be very, very high to that as we jump to it. So yeah, 74.7 average frames per second, sometimes popping up to 99 and sometimes going a little bit lower to like 50 something, but never really dropping below 50. And again, the average FPS is almost double what I was getting on the 970. So overall, I am really impressed by these benchmarks. What we'll do now is we'll jump into a laboratory battle. I will start off by having around about 30,000 units on the 970. We'll see how that handles it, and then we'll jump into the 1070 and see how far we can push it. Okay guys, we are now back in the laboratory. We've gone ahead and mustered around about 31,000 soldiers. I think it's just over 31 soldiers for this battle. And obviously I decided to bring the Tomb Kings because their DLC has just been released. I thought, why not bring them into this battle to test them out and see what they're made of. Now, we're not going to be playing, this entire battle out or anything like that. I just want to go ahead and get my FPS at the beginning of the battle, then go ahead and get my FPS when the two armies clash, and then we'll go ahead and jump onto the 1070. I'll go and install it with 1070 Ti, and we'll see, kind of compare it with the exact same armies and units, and then after we've done that, we'll go ahead and really ramp up and just see how many units I can get into it with the new 1070 Ti. And I will just mention as well, we are still on the 970 if anyone's interested, so still using the 970 in this battle right here. You can see straight off the bat the FPS isn't too bad when I zoom out, roughly around about 25, which is not anything too bad considering how many soldiers we do have. And again, when we zoom in as well, we are kind of tanking below that 25 mark, so nothing too great, but it's nothing too appalling. I'm actually kind of impressed with how the 970 is handling. But what's really going to be kind of the main downside of this is when the two armies clash. Total War has always struggled when it does come to when units pile on top of each other, because there's so many animations and stuff like that to run. The game definitely does suffer performance-wise, so we'll see out when the two armies do come together. At the moment, though, we're looking okay. Again, nothing too spectacular, but it's running it. So, I'm not going to put down the 970 whatsoever. It's doing an admirable job for how old it is. When we do jump over to that 1070 Ti, I'm hoping to absolutely smash these battles. And I think we're going to try like 60,000 soldiers and see what our FPS is like after we've done this comparison. And then if 60,000 soldiers is okay, we'll ramp it up to 80,000 and see if that chills out. Because I can add a ton more units to this battle, and we're only on ×5 unit scale. And obviously using the additions of like the Tomb Kings, who have a lot of soldiers and everything like that, is going to be pretty brutal. So the first couple units of clash, you can already see losing a couple frames there. Nothing too mad. I also went ahead and stopped gravity down as well, just because it's pretty hilarious. Going down the battle line, some of the units are starting to engage. You can already see our FPS has gone down to 20, but the main kind of tanking part of the system, I think, is going to be when more units clump up on top of each other. So when the rest of the Skaven armies do find their way into the battle. Also, look at this bad boy Hero Titan as well. I know this battle isn't about the Tomb Kings, but my god, is he a beast. I also stock up unit entity scaling as well, so he's even bigger on the field of battle. So again, dropping below 20 FPS as the two sides do come in and hitting one another, which is pretty brutal. And this isn't without arrow trails. Like, I'm not really using a lot of arrow trails. And there we go. The system is really starting to stutter now. Now all the units are starting to come up on top of each other. You can really see the FPS is struggling. The system is struggling to actually run it itself. You can see that, there's still more Skaven left to come as well. And the game just can't really handle all the animations on the 970. I'm hoping the 1070 is going to be handling this much, much better, and we're going to be able to get a much smoother gameplay. But you can see around about 15 FPS, and the Hero Titan, it's just not really, a great viewer experience when this is happening. So what we'll do now is I'll go ahead and install the 1070 Ti. And we'll go ahead and see what comparison we do get, whether that new system can run it with, smoothly on this many soldiers, and what the FPS is going to be. As you can see right now, we have around about 15. We'll go ahead and compare that to the battlefield with the 1070 Ti which will come back in a second. So yeah, I'll see you guys in a bit. Okay guys, so we are now in the laboratory. We have gone ahead and installed the 1070 Ti. You'll be able to see my FPS up in the top left hand corner, so you can compare that to the 970 if you want to go back and check out what we were at certain stages. Now these aren't the exact same armies, but I did make sure to keep around 31,000 soldiers. This battle itself has just over 32,000, so a little bit more than the 970 benchmark we did in the laboratory. But the main thing is, I think I'm really excited not to see my FPS in this battle, but to see how well the system handles it and whether we start to get shuddering and if we don't. And then after this, I think what we're going to do is turn down the graphics, because I will mention as well, this entire battle is still on ultra. It's got blood and gore on, it's got arrow trails on, and all that lovely stuff. So I think after this battle and after we kind of test out this, what we'll do is, as the Shavi actually mess up right there, what we'll do is we'll go back and I'll turn off blood and gore. I'll stick the system down to medium settings, and I'll just see the sheer scale that we can get it to after this little benchmark battle we have here. And I'm not going to do the entire thing. I'm simply just going to group everyone up and send them into one another, just so we can really test out the size of this engagement and see how it does handle. Because that's the thing as well. We've got 31,000 soldiers on ultra everything. So if the card can run this and help out alongside my i7-8700 series, I'm going to be really impressed. I'm expecting maybe a little bit of shuddering, but obviously nowhere near the amount we have with the 970. And then what we'll do is we'll turn down the graphics, as I said, turn off like blood and gore, the stuff which really kind of tanks the system, and just see how that does handle it with all the blood and gore and stuff turned off, and just see how many men we can get in the battle itself. So it is going to kick off with these Necro Sphinxes just running forward. I mean, my god as well. Look at the hero titans. We are on large entity scaling, but that's absolutely awesome. So again, the FPS isn't too much higher. I think it's around about 10 higher overall. But like, yeah, it is definitely higher than the 970, but nothing too crazy. But the main thing, as I said, is whether or not it's going to start shuddering the system as the units do clash into one another. I mean, zooming in as well, it looking like it's running it pretty decently, considering we do have 32,000 soldiers in the battle right now. Graphics on ultra as well. I mean, that's the biggest thing, right? The system is on ultra, which is when you're normally doing these battles, you're not really going to want to be doing them on ultra with blood and gore on as well, which really does tank the system on as well. And I'm super impressed. I did not think it'd be able to run it this well. Like, no shuddering whatsoever. The army's pushing, and as we just go down a battle line, it's running it really, really well. I was expecting it to do well, but not quite as well as it is doing. So cool. I think we'll let it run for a little bit while, because we might still get some shudders here and there. I doubt it, because units are going to be dying, so there'll be less entities and stuff. I mean, even with that big hero titan smashing away, it's still doing amazing. I mean, the Tomb Kings as well look great. So yeah, I'll go. Oh wow, that abomination died super quickly to the Tomb Guard with halberds, I guess, and the Archer Fire as well. As we do just see the hero titan as well doing work against with his laser beams from his eyes. I mean, that is not bad one bit. That is very impressive. Like, the FPS hasn't been anything crazy. It's been obviously more, but the fact that it's running it with no shudders and no like real cuts in the FPS is great. Oh god, I'm gonna be doing some amazing battles with this. Oh, such a cool unit, man. The Hero Titan. So very impressed with the 1070. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and we'll jump out of this. I'll bring it to you guys. I'll stick everything on medium settings without blood and gore, without arrow trails. And I'll put something like, I don't know, like 60,000. So no, maybe that's a bit too much. Maybe we'll start off with 50,000 and we'll just see how that runs on medium settings. I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully you guys are as well. Okay, so I've been messing around in the laboratory with the 1070 just to see how far I could push it. I tried with around about 40,000 soldiers, and that seemed to be the limit of how far I can get the game itself with the current setup of my PC without it shuddering whatsoever, which is still extremely impressive. But now I want to test out how far I can get the system in slow-mo without it shuddering whatsoever. So I decided to test out a battle with just over 56, almost 57,000 soldiers on the field of battle. This is going to be the true test. We're going to let the armies collide. It's going to shudder a little bit, and then we're going to stick it into slow-mo, because slow-mo does greatly help, greatly improve performance, and I want to see if the 1070 can handle that, because when I tried this on my 970 for a video, actually, the system itself is still shuddered, and even on slow-mo, it didn't really handle it. So again, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get our army, we'll send it forward. Again, our FPS isn't going to be amazing, but that's never really been the test about this. It's been just how well and how smooth it's been able to handle the actual system. I mean, overall, like, it's not shuddering whatsoever yet, which is great news. And the ranks of Tomb Guard pouring forward is just an amazing sight to behold. Again, I should say as well that my entire system is on medium settings, whereas when you saw it before on the 31,000 soldier battle, I had everything on ultra. I've turned it down to medium just so we can see how far we can push the system itself, and I think this is going to be around about our limit. I think 56,000 on slow-mo is probably going to be the bit where the kind of system can kind of, you know, just go ahead and end itself right up there. Because we can probably still push it a little bit further than this on slow-mo for sure. Because, I mean, at the moment with 56,000 soldiers, the game itself is still running really smoothly. Like, we got 31 FPS. Or 30 there you go, 31 FPS with this many soldiers. Obviously, no one's collided yet, which is going to do, yeah, you can see it's already started to shut out a little bit. But if we go on slow-mo now, you can see everything goes back to absolute, like, it goes back to normal. This is running really well so far. We'll see how well it does do when all the units actually do get on top of each other. That is going to be the true test, because when I tried this before with around about, I think, 51,000 soldiers, this still couldn't even handle it. My 970 was just dying. Whereas, so if this handles this, I'm definitely going to put it to the test and see just, like, I'll stick everything on times 10 unit scale, and we will honestly just see how well it does do. I wanted to do a nice little performance kind of test here though, just so we have a nice benchmark of, you know, it runs smoothly at 51,000. So I'll go back and I'll stick it up onto a higher one, and then we'll see how that does, and that'll probably be our last test of the video itself. So again, you know, pretty nicely, no real like shuddering whatsoever from the system. Obviously, when we click play, it will probably go back to shuddering a little bit. I mean, we'll test that out right now. We go back to play. Yeah, it just can't handle it. 51,000 soldiers, or 56,000 soldiers is just way too much. That is a huge number, a lot of unity, and the game just isn't optimized for that many crazy numbers, which is a shame. However, on slow-mo, it is running really, really well. You can see Cetra himself upon his War Sphinx, sending Skaven rats flying into the abyss. I mean, even still, like, even on slow-mo, you can still enjoy these battles, and I'm really impressed with how that 1070 is handling all of these entities on top of each other, because that's when Total War, you know, really starts to take a hit to your system, is when everyone clumps up on top of each other and you get these huge clump battles like we do have now with this huge engagement. You know, I mean, just look at that right there. That is something to behold. And that's when the system really does start to struggle. So yeah, we run pretty nicely on this many soldiers. So what I'll do, I'm going to jump out one last time, probably stick this up to 10 times unit scale, and see how well it runs it on slow-mo. I'm expecting it to kind of be too much for the system, but we'll definitely see nonetheless. Okay guys, so I have now stuck in 71,000 soldiers into the battle itself, and I'm ready to see how the system does perform on it. Now, I'm not expecting anything great. As long as it can just handle it on slow-mo, I will be very, very impressed. So let's go ahead and select everyone up. We'll go ahead and bring them to the group so they can just charge forward. We'll start the battle. I'm imagining it's going to probably start tanking before we even jump into the battle. I mean, over 70,000 men is insane. The fact that it's running this well, 25 FPS with this many soldiers, is crazy. As I said, as the units kind of get towards each other, as the AI has to make all their decisions, I imagine we will be seeing a lot more of like jumpiness, but I'll keep on normal speed for as long as the game will allow me. And again, bear in mind that this is with 71,000 soldiers. I'm still on medium settings as well. I'll show you guys that quickly if you are interested in finding out. Still on medium settings. If we go to that, you can see everything is on medium or low or off. So kind of going down to that kind of preset system. And then the armies are going to get closer and closer. So I imagine as soon, yeah, already we're starting to see a shutter as the armies do come in. But that's not what this test is about. This test is about how it's going to perform now the armies have gone in. Because if this can run this like on slow-mo nicely with 71,000 soldiers, I am going to be speechless, because that is a huge number. It probably doesn't help that I'm zooming in as well on these tests, but hey, we want to see that it can really handle it, because when you're playing these battles, you want to always be zoomed in as the Ashavati do come in as well. But already, like, I'm pretty impressed. Majority of the units have gone into one another, and it's running very, very nicely. 71,000 soldiers on the field of battle right now. I mean, just looking down that battle line as well, you can see the sheer scale of that. Even the Titan down there as well, who I imagine will be blowing away some people with his laser beam very, very soon. and is doing it. You know, there's still some more units left to come in, and I wouldn't be surprised if it does start tanking in a second though. But again, it's not like too many guys are clumped up on top of each other. You know, overall it's running really, really well. I'm very impressed. On slow-mo, 71,000 soldiers. You cannot beat this. So the 1070 Ti has done a great favor to my system. It is a huge upgrade anyway, so I was always expecting to see like quite a big improvement of graphics and just power to my system, because the 970 is extremely outdated, so I was kind of always expecting there to be a big jump in power. But the fact we're getting 71,000 soldiers is crazy. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to get up to 100,000. I think we could get enough units on the field, and maybe we'll have to do that for a challenge video, trying to get 100,000 soldiers into Warhammer 2. But I don't know if my computer will blow up or something. Maybe NASA will knock on my door and ask to use it. But yeah, we can maybe definitely try that as we do go on. And again, yes, it's running. That's kind of the main thing we were testing out here with this final battle, was just how well does the system handle it. And I mean, it's running it really well. No shuddering, which is, I think, is the biggest issue. And especially because you look how many rats are on top of each other right now. There's quite a lot of rats just piling up, and that's when the system, you know, Total War definitely does struggle. But I mean, to be able to watch something like this and be able to see, you know, 71,000 soldiers in the field of battle in one go is pretty crazy. So I think that's a good enough test. All the units have now collided in. Besides, I guess there's a couple thousand men still left over here, or rats I should say. We'll let these rats pile in a little bit more, and then we'll probably wrap up the video. I can't imagine though, because as we're obviously seeing, more units are dying as more units are entering the fight. It's a shame these guys didn't pour in at the beginning, but it can't be too many. Well, how many rats are actually in this unit right here? You know, only 1,400, nothing too much. Oh yeah, also our Realm of Souls as well must need a huge amount of deaths. Not actually, to get to the last Realm of Souls, we only need 4,500 deaths. But I guess, again, the Skaven do have a lot of the units with 46,000. A couple thousand have died, give or take. So, but the majority of them are in the battle now with, you know, so many soldiers clumped up on one another. So cool, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the test here, and I'll see you guys back on the starting screen for Warhammer. So there we have it. I think we managed to get around about 71,000 soldiers into the laboratory, and it ran relatively smoothly on slow-mo, which is super impressive, because beforehand, I think even at 51,000 soldiers on the 970, it was horrifically laggy, and even on slow-mo, it just still shuddered, whereas that ran pretty perfectly. I'm not going to complain on slow-mo, I'll say. On normal, it did have some issues, but that's to be expected when you have that many soldiers on the field. I definitely might try another video where we do really try to push it and maybe get above 80,000 on slow-mo, and to see how the game does handle that. But this is definitely being the biggest laboratory battle I have ever done on the channel. And I want to say a massive thank you to Asus ROG and also Overclockers UK for sponsoring my 1070 Ti, which has been the main focal point of this video. I am definitely extremely impressed about the card and how well it has performed, especially in the laboratory as well. We've got some pretty crazy battles to have in the future. So what I'll do is I'll make sure I link down below in the description for you guys for links to the 1070 card itself, as well as to the rest of my system, so you guys can check out if you're looking to upgrade something else. But I would definitely recommend the 1070 Ti to you guys. Make sure to use my link down below in the description, as it will definitely help me out. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Let me know what you thought of the card itself and the laboratory battle with 71,000 soldiers, and I'll see you guys next time, and fish out.